From university campuses to the streets of Khartoum, thousands continue to demand the resignation of President Omar al-Bashir. Protests calling for the end of his 30-year rule are now almost 4 months old. The rebellion shows no sign of abating, despite promises from the government to improve the economy and the declaration of a year-long state of emergency that bans public gatherings and protests.
The government is corrupt, there's oppression, they enter into people's houses and beat them. Now all our brothers are heading to the street and they're beating them with sticks severely, firing tear gas. There's violation of rights. All their promises are lies. They don't represent the Sudanese people. Even the state of emergency is a lie, because there are no soldiers on the streets.
The protests, which started in mid-December in the northeastern city of Atbara, were sparked by a rise in the costs of basic goods. Some opposition groups say protesters have legitimate reasons to take to the streets. Demonstrators say they want to voice their demands peacefully, but have been met with tear gas and bullets fired. Rights groups say security forces have killed at least 50 people since demonstrations began. The government puts the figure at 32. The UN Human Rights Council has criticized the government response and its use of force. President Bashir met the committee formed to resolve the crisis and repeated his call for dialogue. As well as announcing the state of emergency, Bashir has stepped down as head of the ruling National Congress Party.
We've talked about preparing the environment for dialogue by releasing all political prisoners, activists and journalists, so we can create an environment for a national dialogue, because every side sticking to their positions will not help the country.
But it's unclear who to talk to. Most of the protests have been called for by opposition groups and an unofficial body known as the Sudanese Professional Association. But some Sudanese say while they participate in the protests, neither the opposition nor the association represent them. So nearly 4 months on, anti-government protests remain largely leaderless, making it difficult to start talks to settle the crisis. Omar al-Bashir has presided over Sudan for 3 decades, coming to power in a bloodless military coup in 1989 to overthrow the democratically elected government. While the current wave of anti-government protests isn't the first, they're the most serious and persistent yet. He's remaining defiant, and so are the protesters, leaving no solution in sight to end the deadlock. Hiba, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.